Today we continue my talks on decision making and doing God's will or finding God's will. One of the big areas we're going to talk about in this series is finding a spouse, a mate, and how do you do that? And can I make a mistake? There's a lot of problems. First, I got to say, in the purpose of God, He doesn't really see mistakes the way we must see mistakes. Because in the mindset of God, mistakes are always things that you can learn from and grow from. That's the difference with us. We see mistakes as things to avoid. God sees things as stepping stones to wisdom and further growth. In terms of marriage, people always say, well, who should I marry? I don't want to make a mistake. I have to say that you can make a mistake getting married, but it's not as common as you think. I used to teach, when I was teaching in seminary, my students about how people in the Old Testament got married. Because in Western culture, it's very so common. We have a freedom to choose whoever we want to date and marry, and we will choose someone who's we love, or attracted to, we match well, soulmates, which is good. It's very good. If you have the opportunity to do that, please take that option, But not in all societies is it like this, and neither was it in the Old Testament. I'm just going to sort of rattle off a few of the situations in the Old Testament. The first marriage was between Adam and Eve. And I'd say, gee, what's so interesting is that Adam and Eve, they had no choice. This is it, Imagine said, well, Adam would say, well, she's a little too short for me, or Eve would say, something a little more handsome, it's God's provision. It's the only one, sole source, so one and done. That's never going to happen again. Other instances of marriage in the Old Testament is very interesting. Joseph, right-hand man of Pharaoh, with the famine and the dreams. Well, as a reward for doing a job well done, Pharaoh gifts Joseph, Egyptian priest's daughter, to be his wife. A gift. And she's not of the faith. Wow, that's a kind of interesting thing, a political sort of gift. And they give birth to two of the tribes. Another really odd one, and this is, I sort of missed the chronological order, was Jacob and Rachel and Leah. That was probably the worst marriage ever. Matter of fact, if it ever happened in American society, we'd sue and have the wedding annulled. As you know, Joseph gets tricked. He loves Rachel, but he marries Rachel and Leah, and one is not loved. And there's always a competition and struggle within that. We would have thought this is the worst of all situations. Marry someone I don't love. How could this be God's will? I'll tell you something. Within this really, sorrowful situation that we would never have thought it's God's will, the tribes of Israel come forth. God uses this situation, which is most terrible, to bring forth His will. There's also love marriage. Michael and David is an example of love marriage. There's also lust marriage. David and Bathsheba. Bad night. Bad night. But what I want to do with all these situations is to tell you is that too often we put too much emphasis on finding the right person and not putting the commitment that whoever we covenant our lives with, I'm not saying it can be all the time, but more times than we will admit, God can make any bad choice we make in life and turn it into good.